Welcome back, everyone. I hope you all are having a very blessed day today. And I'm back with another lesson on how to raise your consciousness, how to manifest and bring your desires to the physical reality. I hope each and every single one of you have been having a great time, and whoever's been following this channel has been getting a lot of value and you've been applying it to your life and seeing some significant shifts energetically and so forth in the physical reality. Nonetheless, I've been having a great time. I know, let's say, I'm not consistent, but I'm also consistent because I don't only focus on posting on one platform. I have Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. So I post whenever, wherever I feel inspired to posting, but I'm trying to be, let's say, I don't know. I'm just getting whatever inspired action and I'm doing it. And most of the time, before I give you guys any value, I really want to go through a like significant, I end up going through a significant journey and transforming my energy. Along with that, I get new perspectives on how we can, utilize our concepts of manifestation, how to use consciousness, the subconscious mind into, practically improving our lives. So I go through a significant journey, take whatever, output I get from it, and then I just process it and understand, okay, this is quite interesting. I should explain this to people so that, they can also benefit from it. But if you look at me from a perspective of am I trying, everyone says, oh, you have to be consistent in order to be in the platform or you won't get any views and this and that. I really don't care about it. Like at this point, I'm just doing it for fun. I'm just enjoying whoever I'm interacting with and whoever's watching the video. Like at the end of the day, what I say always, the algorithm is you. If you decide the algorithm has to work, even when you post nothing, you still get like a shit ton of views and likes and followers. Yes, you will. And for that to happen, you have to detach from external outcomes and you just have to do it out of pure fulfillment and satisfaction for yourself, because creation is something for you, not for anyone else, and others are just inspired by it and they go out there and do their own thing. So I know for a fact whatever video I'm posting is super powerful and important to whoever watches it, because it's like I'm giving it from my daily experiences that I've gone through in the past couple days since I last made the previous video. But I could just come online and just for the sake of giving information give it, but that doesn't resonate with me, and that's why I have Instagram. Like I give quick information on Instagram about various stuff that I'm going through or understanding, or I'm expanding in terms of consciousness. And the ego is one of the most, as you can see the title, ego is something that all of us are like quite trying to get a grasp on. And most of the time what we hear is, after everyone goes through their spiritual awakening, is I want to get rid of the ego, I want to disassociate with the ego. But I started going deeper and deeper and trying to understand this is never going to happen. You're never going to be able to dissociate from the ego. And having an ego is not a bad thing. And it's not from the literal sense how we think, oh, having ego means pride. Yes, it's all connected to all of these self titles and labels that you hold on to, attachment to the external reality. So that is a part of ego. But ego can be your best friend if you know how to treat it as a best friend, if you know how to utilize it to your benefit, and if that comes from a deep level of understanding, which I went into and I'm coming to you with it. That's why I'm saying ego is not the enemy. And today we're gonna run through what is the ego, how to dissolve the ego, what is a soul frequency, is our destiny written already? This is a question I get from so many people. Like, I mean, everyone's read something here and there and they're like, is our destiny written already? Because we heard like whatever you do, at the end of the day you will only manifest things that you're in alignment with or whatever. And I'm gonna get to that. That's super important to understand the concept about destiny and what is a soul frequency and how to dissolve the ego, because you cannot dissociate, you can only dissolve it. So let's get straight into it. And so, yeah, what is the ego? The ego is a protector. I'm going to expand. But the ego is a protector. Your pride, your sense of attachment to external things, these all come from a place of what belief system you have stored within your subconscious mind. And so your ego is actually here to protect those belief systems. So it's nothing more than just the protector of your beliefs, or I like to call it protector of your frequency. Because as of now, what we know about ego from, let's say, a beginner standard point of view is that we think ego is like pride, shame, whatever, like those arrogant approaches that we take in life. No, we have to do it my way or no way. And you force your things on people, and it's all just from a level of like defense mechanisms, or you're trying to just resist the flow of things, when you can get everything done your way, as long as you let go of the ego and allow flow to start coming in. And that's what we're going to explain in this. So the ego is actually a good thing because it's protecting your beliefs and it's protecting your frequency, but it depends on what beliefs you're holding. If you're attached to external reality and external situations and have arrogance, pride, and all those kind of low vibrational emotions within you, it's not a good thing. But at the end of the day, it's still protecting you. So if someone comes and tells you that, hey, listen, your work isn't that great, it's all right, your creativity is kind of shit, you could improve something, you just step up into a defense mode and you start going like, now I'm okay with it, I like it, I love it, I love what I'm doing, but this is good. So now you're protecting what you've created, you don't need that person's constructive criticism, because they're not giving you any sort of constructive criticism. They're just criticizing your work because they probably aren't doing it. But now take someone who's experienced, take someone who's wise, who's done this for a very long time, and they approach you with like, hey, listen, maybe you could like do this, and maybe you could make a bit of changes. I've made these changes and it's helped me. And at that moment, if you step up and be like, what does this guy know? He doesn't know who I am. Or like, anyhow, you start speaking from an arrogant perspective that you are Mr. Know-it-all, and you don't want to appreciate anyone's intentional, they have good intentions for you and they're coming in to say something that could actually help your growth, and you just reject it. That comes from a place of like ego, and that ego is not actually good, because it's going to constantly stop you from growing. Every time an opportunity comes and you're like, I don't want to call that person, let that person call me. But it's important for you to call that person, because over here it's something that you need, for example, right? And so it's like the ego can be your best friend or your enemy, because if it's protecting your frequency from people who are trying to lower your frequency, amazing. But if it's trying to protect you from people who are trying to raise your frequency by telling you the right stuff to do, then it's your enemy. And how do you understand where the ego is trying to protect you and where the ego is trying to destroy your life? This is where it comes into the whole point of dissolving it. But ego basically is nothing, just like, let's say it's just certain low vibrational states of like anger, resentment, low vibrational stuff that comes in from time to time. But I don't like to consider it like just low vibration thing, because as you advance, you understand that you become one with ego, you dissolve the ego. Right now, if you're at a standard beginner point of view, it's going to be probably arrogance, pride, shame, guilt, fear, a lot of other low vibrational frequencies. But once you start advancing and once you reach like at the optimal state of like understanding it and dissolving it with the soul or the source or consciousness, you start being in a fluid state with ego. You start moving hand in hand with it. You understand why it's popping up at every phase of your life. So the thing about belief system, let's say you have a belief of, you start from a belief of scarcity, right? Let's say, for example, you think that money is not easy to get, it's difficult, you gotta work really hard. And now you learn that consciousness is everything and you can reprogram your mind and start receiving abundance. And so you understand money is just energy, And so you change and reprogram your mind into a whole new way of operation, right? So this scarcity mindset, where you believe that money is hard, it's a frequency, okay? It's a frequency that exists inside this frequency, a collective, a group of people you have now associated yourself with, a group of people who resonate with you, who also understand and think that money is a hard thing. It can be any kind of programming, it can be any kind of belief that you just believe getting groceries are hard, and there's a collective. You always manifest a collective along with it, because you, as a creator, you exist in like collective communities, and this is the whole concept of collective consciousness. So you will manifest people and others who resonate with you, and that's how the whole black sheep concept comes in, right? As you start growing, the people who you previously resonated with won't make any sense, because it's just a herd and you're speaking something entirely different, but it makes sense to you, and you have to just break through. So this is the same concept. You go from a scarcity mindset to an abundant one, let's say. This is a new belief system. And every belief system is a limitation by itself. No matter how much you think you are being more and more expansive in terms of consciousness and creating better belief system, you now move into an abundant state, let's say. There's a transition phase from this old frequency to the new frequency, right? Frequency new, okay? Over here, the ego, the old ego, is going to come in and tell you, whisper to you, hey, listen, that's not real. Like, remember that the last time you started spending money like a crackhead, you had bills coming in, and then you had to take care of this, and you ran out of all the money. This programming is not real. Don't do this. You become jobless, you become homeless, you become all kind of shit. But this is where the new frequency, the new one that you've worked hard on, like let's say programming yourself, your subconscious mind, it now comes in autopilot. You do have the new perspectives and the new thoughts, which actually confirm it to you that it is all just a holographic reality, and you can actually reprogram your mind and experience reality for better, because it's just let's say neuroscience, and there's a bit of mystics and metaphysics involved in it. But the new ego, which I like to call, is going to be the most stronger ego over here. It's going to come in and fight, let's say, a small inner war within the old and the new. It's going to say, no, this is how it is. Because when you reprogram your mind, when you feed yourself with affirmations and meditations, and you expand your nervous system and you expand your consciousness, you are going to be convinced. You are going to have a certain degree of conviction that I don't care if external reality hasn't reflected it yet, but my internal reality, my inner states have changed, and I can feel it. The feeling is the most strongest part. Just having thoughts isn't enough, because thoughts can be erased at any moment, but the feeling, you just cannot get rid of it, because now you feel abundant. You're not just thinking abundant, you're feeling abundant, and automatically you just keep giving money to people. You're just less afraid when you're spending money, etc. and etc. Right? So this is how you move from, let's say, this old frequency was being protected by the ego here. The new frequency is being protected by the ego here. And you know what's crazy? You think you are abundant. You have a belief system. You create that you're abundant. There's always room to expand more, because you, as a human being with the power of source and infinite possibilities and capabilities of source within you, you have infinite capabilities to expand your knowledge, your wisdom, everything using consciousness. You can go to infinite. So when you think you're abundant, you still have a new state of abundance you can explore. When you think you are strong, there's a new state of strength that you can explore. When you think that you are wise, there's a new state of wisdom that you can explore. So it never stops. You can just constantly keep exploring new. But what you think is, oh, now that you're abundant, this becomes the new old frequency, and this new belief system of X2 abundance, you think this one is all cool, because there still exists ego over here too. You think, oh, now because you're abundant, the ego probably doesn't exist. No, the ego is going to protect your frequency. The ego is going to protect your belief system. It always will. It's actually created to like support you, but in the process of various traumatic programmings and everything that came in, we just thought it's not a good thing to have for some reason, because of anger, pride, whatever that we thought. But actually the ego is your protection system from your frequency, because if you didn't have an ego, every time someone came and told you something, just like the wind, you would go there and you would go here and you would go there. But when you have an ego, you're able to protect yourself from just listening to anyone. You're able to take more analytical approach towards whatever people are feeding you. You're observing more, and then you're processing it internally. Where now when you enter these states, when you're entering a state of abundance and you start working with the ego and you start becoming one with the ego, because everything is one. There's no separation in any format, either in 5D, and the biggest illusion is in 3D. There is separation as men, women, cars, buildings, big, small, everything, But in 5D, where the creation process happens, there is no separation. Everything is one. We are all one. So if you think that 3D is having separation, so there's separation externally, you're going to have a problem. But even the ego is one with the soul or the source. So when you, as a soul or source, mix with ego, you work hand in hand. You guys are hand in hand. The smiley face represents good. You guys are working like partner together. And so what happens now is, even when the ego comes in terms of protection, like you're elevating to a new frequency, let's say you're going into a more abundant state. There's so many, like, let's say if you're going from a state of healing and not an expansion state, because everyone starts their spiritual journey with a lot of healing from all past traumatic shit that they went through. You're going to experience, every time you expand, the greater your expansion is, the greater the programmings that you had, negative programmings that come out. Like, for example, some people believe that, when you become famous, that you are actually going to get in a lot of shit, or like you're gonna or if you have a lot of money, the government's out to get you, or institutions are out to get you. Sometimes they believe that once you become famous as a celebrity, your privacy is in stake. And this is the common collective belief. But like, once you're a programmer of your life, you know that none of this matters. Like, you are always going to be able to control your reality, and no one is actually going to harm you, because it's created in the mind. And if you have a good belief system and you believe that you're protected, you're never going to suffer. And so this issue of ego, whenever you rise your frequency, even me till today, if I am expanding myself, the ego is always going to come in and fight with me, telling, oh, but don't do this, but don't do that, you're going to have this problem and that problem, or like, what if you do this? For example, you spend, like, at the beginning of your life when you're a child, spending $5 is quite difficult, but now spending $5 is quite easy. And then as you grow up, spending $100 is easy. And then this is how, like, the abundant expansion happens. Then one day from 100, you want to become a millionaire, you suddenly get the expense of spending like 200K, and then you're like, whoa, this is not what I have done previously. But it depends on the expansion of your nervous system and your consciousness, that the work that you've done. If you've done a great work on your subconscious mind, even that 200K, even though you previously were max able to spend 100 dirhams, $100, you suddenly go into a state of having to spend 200K. You're okay with it because you've expanded your nervous system, because you've done a huge amount of inner work. That is, you've done multi-dimensional work on yourself. That means you've traveled internally in the 5D consciousness to a dimension where you are capable of spending this, and so it's okay for you. And it's not like, oh, you have to spend first $100, then you learn to spend $200, then $10,000. Yes, this is like the basic system that they taught us, that you can feel comfortable in doing. This is like the most comfortable way of doing, but you can do it this other way too. It might seem or feel uncomfortable because the ego is protecting you, because it's used to that old frequency style. But as you take minor steps in increasing your capacity of spending, and you start, it all happens in, like, let's say, bits by bits, right? If you're doing it in a more comfortable way towards achieving discomfort, like, breaking through discomfort. But you can also do this, what they call the quantum leap. You can go and do the most uncomfortable shit, like, immediately, and tear through that reality that you currently exist and jump straight into it, because your ego was like your nervous system was also not prepared for it, but you just trust yourself so well that you're like, you know what, I know I can handle it. This is not a big deal. It's just ego protecting me. Everything is a holographic reality. So you take some major big jumps in reality or life, right? For example, when I had to start my first business and I had to quit my job with zero savings or anything as such, it was a quantum leap. It was a quantum jump. I didn't have any savings or backings or anyone. There was no family support or anything as such. I just jumped in and I was like, you know what, I'll figure it out. And so it started getting figured out. My life changed a whole like 180. Like, so my mentality changed. The experience I was having was different. Even though it was scary because I didn't expand my nervous system, I was still used to the old corporate way of living, you know, having comfort of salary. But every day I woke up, I was like stressed. I was like, where's the money gonna come for paying rent? Where's the money gonna come for paying petrol? But I still had my business. Somehow one day some project comes in, and then after a couple months another project comes in, because I always thought that life was difficult and it was hard to, like, you know, achieve things. Nonetheless, what I'm trying to say is, now at a state when you're like quite aware and you're quite capable of taking big bold moves, compared to the version of me who didn't know about manifestation and stuff, you can take quantum jumps and quantum leaps quite often, and, like, you know, take those risky moves, because you know at the end of the day, behind those risky moves, if you can alchemize your energy, or whatever the ego energy or the negative or the high energy that you suddenly grab when you take those big actions out of fear or anxiety, if you sit down with it and you're still with it and you quickly alchemize it, you know that nothing bad is going to happen. You're just going to get through it like any other day. So it all comes down to how you're programming your subconscious mind and how you're expanding your nervous system, and you know, being highly aware about your surroundings and yourself. So I hope you all understand how the ego will never let go, but you just become synced with the soul, or the source and ego together. So every time you're rising up, so I told you the ego will come in terms of defense towards like people who are trying to wreck you, but you don't have to sit and fight and argue with them. Over here, it's more like, you know, I'm staying my ground over here. I'm not letting anyone else, you know, take control of what my beliefs are. And it's also good for you whenever you have negative thoughts. Let's say the ego mixed with the soul comes in and like, hey, listen, it's okay. This frequency, it's all about being abundant. It's okay. Yeah, the thoughts just keep coming. Whenever you go into a negative thought pattern, immediately the positive thought pattern comes in. And so the ego is getting dissolved in this process, that you just understand it's a protector of your frequencies, and you're just here to, like, you know, work hand in hand with the ego. And so every time you start leveling up, you realize the ego is going to be there, it's going to help you and whatever that you need externally, internally. And as you expand, you just start being more aware. Anytime negative thoughts come, it's okay, like, you know, it's just a feeling, or it's just imagination, it's just some kind of unconscious programming that is in my subconscious. I'm now aware of it, I'm going to observe it, and I'm going to, once you observe everything, it just gets dissolved automatically by itself, because you get the perspectives. That thought that comes in, that fear or anxiety that comes in, you observe it, you just, you know, sit with it, you alchemize it, and then boom, it just brings you a whole new perspective and way you think about it, through minor signs and external reality, inner wisdom, and finally external reality will reflect what your inner state is. So I hope that makes sense about how you can dissolve the ego but not try to get rid of it, because if you get rid of it, it's going to be ultimate chaos, because no one is going to protect your frequency. All right. And that's what, it's like a love and hate relationship with ego, but like just consider it as a love and love relationship, and you will be fine. So I talked about how you can dissolve the ego. I forgot, what was the second one? How we can well, I know there is something about frequency, and I know there is something about destiny. I should maybe write down what I've written always. I've told you about how you can mix, dissolve the ego, and so that's perfect. I'm a gangster in this realm. I fixed that. So now what we're going to get into is, what is soul frequency? This is my favorite. Soul frequency is nothing but the frequency of source of consciousness. And consciousness holds a frequency, the frequency of infinite possibilities and capabilities of achieving and doing anything and having everything and knowing everything. So you can always tap into that because everything operates on frequency. Everything is a frequency, everything is a vibration, basically a frequency. The bottle has a frequency, the mic has a frequency, the marker has a frequency. And so you can actually tap into everything that is there because everything is conscious and everything is energy. These are all conscious things and beings existing. So what we need to understand is what I mean by a soul frequency. A soul frequency is nothing but the frequency of source that is going to help you always come back. This is your home. The home frequency is how I like to see it, and I'll actually learn this from this book, The Frequency by Penny Pierce. I would suggest everyone who is interested in frequencies, vibrations, to give it a read. And so whenever you walk through life, you're going to attract a lot of waves. A lot of waves of frequencies are just moving around. Different people, different human beings, all of them are just having different thoughts throughout the day. And it's passing through you too. You're just a vessel that's filled with frequencies, and it's passing through you, and you could absorb this, and it could cause you, whichever environment you're in. For example, you're at a club, there's loud music, there's loud bullshit. A lot of people with let's say weird assumptions, and if you are not careful about being grounded and being present, you could sometimes absorb these frequencies, and it could actually have an impact on your life. And so what's important is whenever you absorb any kind of frequency, whenever you're around negative people, somehow or the other you end up being in these circles, you can always cleanse yourself by coming back to your soul frequency, and this is always there to help you. And the final process, once you're a beginner, you just know how to, let's say there is no levels to this beginner, but at the initial phase you're always trying, because you have so much of ego and past traumas and everything just associated with you. It's so hard for you to constantly be in a calm and peaceful state, because your nervous system is still in that flight or fight mode. So the final process is to integrate yourself with the soul frequency, and then you lose sense of identity. You no longer have an identity. Once your ego is dissolved with the soul frequency, you no longer have an identity. There is no Fadil Fasli anymore. Fadil Fasli was just a name given to me, but at the end of the day, I'm just an energy ball or a conscious being just existing, going through everything. I am the mic, I am the marker, I am the water bottle, I am the wall, I am the power board, I am this light. Everything is me. And this is how you have to look at it in order to be aligned and instantly manifest things into your reality. So the whole concept is, once you begin, you have a lot of things going on in your head. You're attached to let's say success and achieving shit, being a savior, being the the person who rescues the family out of difficulties, and there's a lot of titles. You're holding on to your name. I am this, I am that, but there is no anything. There is I am everything and nothing. So once you integrate yourself into your soul frequency, you finally get real peace and freedom and liberation and calmness, because now you just don't care about anything. You just care about the peace of mind, and the more peaceful and relaxed you are, you get access to divine downloads and wisdom. So that's more important for you, because these will be the things that help you expand your nervous system, see more fulfillment by being present, by being with yourself, not waiting to be grateful or not waiting to be fulfilled or satisfied by external activities. Yes, that will definitely help you and make you feel better, whatever, but you are already feeling better inside yourself, that this gets manifested. So you knew that good things were always destined for you, because your inner states are always good. So you just enjoy it regardless. You're just happy because you created the situation in your reality just by taking care of yourself. But You now no longer care about, oh, I have to compete with my friends and people and other people and show them how great I am and how I have the biggest house and this. You can have everything that you possibly want by still being in your soul frequency without having an ego, because being calm, present, and peaceful doesn't mean you have to be broke. This is the biggest misconception. You can be absolutely flippin' rich and have everything that you possibly want by just being existing and enjoying yourself, because the soul never denies you anything. Source never denies you anything. Universe never denies you anything. As long as your vibrational state, the emotional state you're in, is at the state of someone who is capable of having that thing in his external reality, it's yours. If you are in the state of having a mansion, having a car, being able to spend $1 million, then so you will have $1 billion in your hands, or in terms of resources, because that's all the truth of the matter. You can do it the hard way. You can sit and grind and work hard and get it, or you can just vibrationally align yourself to it, expand your nervous system, and still get it. So yeah, you can be a peaceful guy, and you can just learn how to align yourself vibrationally, emotionally, by basically programming yourself and the subconscious mind. It automatically happens that you get aligned towards that reality, what you're looking for. So the soul frequency is nothing but the frequency you can always tap into to feel calm and relaxed, because that comes forth when you are in a meditative trance or relaxed state. You start being one with yourself, the original version of you, the soul that's within you. It's now going to calm you, soothe you. You won't get that kind of calmness and soothingness or any sort of nurturing externally. This is the one that loves you unconditionally. It accepts you for who you are, and it is within you. So learning how to define your soul or define your source and or your consciousness, and then coming and tapping into it by just getting into a relaxed state, by breathing for a couple minutes and then sitting, and that's your soul speaking to you. And it will start speaking to you in feelings, visions, or in thoughts. There's nothing voodoo about it. There's nothing mystical about it. This is just normal life. This is life. We've just not been thought about it enough, and so now people have to sit and speak about it and awaken other people to understanding this. And you can just it's just the superhuman capabilities, and it's not that hard to awaken it. I had none of these capabilities or psychic capabilities like a year ago. I had to just work on it and work on myself, and finally each and every single sensory organ started getting elevated and heightened, and I was able to feel and see things differently. And so the soul frequency is your home frequency, which you can always tap into when in need. You have to integrate yourself by being constantly present, by being with it, by constant meditation. So this is what in the mornings, best time to start your day. Make sure you're meditating, you're affirming, some breath work, some reading, some good shit reading, right? And then you'll be constantly relaxed and tapped into your soul frequency. The more longer you're there present in your soul frequency, more it gets integrated, and then you will feel it even when you're walking through life in external reality. So that's why it's important to try to tap in as much, and then it will take control of you. It's basically a subconscious programming, just going in to that. The subconscious mind is basically, let's say, it's quite complex. I don't want to confuse everyone about it. It's not complex, but it's just like the programmings you feed, it starts awakening feelings within you, and then let's just say you get all of these things from the source of all, or the soul, or consciousness, however anybody wants to call it. It just has infinite capabilities within it, and so all you need to do is just get into these states and you will have it. Now, let me just explain what frequency is, how to understand frequencies. Frequency. Frequency is composed of waves. This is a high frequency wave, and this is a low frequency wave. A high frequency wave looks like this. Small gaps and super long and close to each other. A low frequency wave is something like this. Okay, it's quite dense. There's a lot of resistance in this low frequency wave that doesn't help you, let's say, become transparent and allow the light to pass through you. And so, as the brain operates in a way where it functions on waves, okay? So high frequency, a lot of people get mistaken is that high frequency means a lot of doing, a lot of mental activity, a lot of woo, 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 let me do this. That's not high frequency. That's actually low frequency. The more mental activity, the more mentally and physically you're doing is a low frequency wave. And being on a low frequency wave, none of these are bad. It's just that you want to be more on a high frequency scale than like a low frequency scale. So the high frequency waves are when you're on a high frequency, you're actually moving a whole lot faster in 3D because you're moving a whole lot faster in 5D. So you're not physically moving, but you're moving mentally by doing nothing. So frequency is composed of beta, there's gamma too, but I'm just going to talk about beta, alpha, theta, and delta. These are high frequency, let's say, and this is low frequency. Beta comes when you are doing something or focused on a mental activity. You're not super present, and these are like, let's say, awareness, quite aware. And the scale goes, this is good, theta is double good, and delta is the best to be at, where all of these are just states. So the brain waves actually moves in a state of higher the frequency, slower the brain waves. Low frequency, faster the brain waves. And so that doesn't mean faster brain waves doesn't mean your brain is actually operating better or something. The brain is actually operating better when, the brain is actually operating, you're giving it time to process and breathe and, actually do the necessary actions in order to create a better reality when you're at a high frequency, that is a relaxed state. So when you're at alpha, that is just by being like medium present and you're doing some kind of work, but you're in like more meditative state. Theta is more when you're getting into deep meditation, and delta is when you're about to go to sleep. And if you can manage these two states, you're well and good. You're entering into a state of 5D consciousness where most of the work and the creation process is happening, but everyone's afraid to not do anything because they fear that if they don't do something, they won't get an outcome. But most of these things have to be first created in the mind. You have to travel fast in the mind, so you actually move faster in the head and slower in 3D, because you just need to take one action and the outcome of whatever that you're expecting is done. Because I told you that you expand your nervous system from being a person who can spend $100, you can suddenly be a person who can spend $150. So it's just a matter of understanding these concepts, which will help you go far in life. So I hope people have understood frequency, soul frequency, and the soul frequency is obviously super high frequency, and that comes from staying in relaxed meditative states. And higher the frequency, slower the brain activity, and better the reality creation process. More peaceful you are, always remember you will always manifest in alignment. And now, when I talk about manifesting anything, everyone is like, oh, don't we have a destiny? Don't we have a journey? in life? Don't we have a soul journey? So aren't we controlled by our destiny? No matter what we do, our destiny is written for us. So what's the point of living? What is the point of manifesting consciously? It's literally a soul destiny. It was never a soul, it was a soul journey, not a soul, a physical human being destiny. While the concept of destiny is misunderstood, there's infinite destinies. Infinite realities, infinite possibilities, and what they've mistaken is that there's only one destiny. Each door you open in your reality, each thought you open to, each time you expand your consciousness, you're walking into a new destiny. And that doesn't mean you have to follow that entire destiny for the rest of your life. It's just that today you want to get probably a brand new car, or you want a brand new job, or whatever, brand new partner. You don't have to think, oh, I'm gonna be stuck with this partner for the rest of my life. The more you are aligned towards a version of you who can attract that dream or desired woman, or the desired car, or the desired job, you will get it. There is no, oh, the soul, it's my fate, it's my destiny to have this job. And yeah, that's exactly why you are in a victim mentality. You're going to get that shitty job because of the victim mentality, so that job or that woman can feed your victim mentality more. But if you switch from that into a mentality of taking accountability of your life, if you take in accountability to make yourself feel better by programming yourself, by thinking about things from a more optimistic point of view, you are eventually going to enter a vibrational state. This is the most important, vibrational state or an emotional state. So if you enter the vibrational state of someone who has the dream job that pays you well and all of that, if you are vibrating at this frequency, this will be coming to you. This reality will come to you. If you are vibrating or at an emotional state of your dream job, this will be a reality. There's no way you can escape it. So the soul journey or the soul destiny is basically nothing but awakening yourself. You have probably lived a billion lifetimes before this, because you're just consciousness, you're always existing. And so your journey was probably to reach that state of awakening, wherever it is, So that's like the journey. You awaken yourself, you enlighten yourself, and you understand you're the conscious creator. And then there's nothing to do. You can absolutely have everything on this earth. Like, it's a heaven on earth. Like, there is no thing that you have to wait for death for receiving heaven. You can experience it over here. No one is stopping you from it, because the rule book is given to you. You want to experience heaven on earth, enter into a vibrational state of whatever it is that you truly desire, get into the feeling, get into the senses, make it feel like it's normal by expanding your nervous system and expanding your consciousness. You will get that reality of whatever that you need. You want the dream client, dream job, dream car. Everything requires you to feel it, and feel it as if you already have it. And so now someone will be like, how can I feel like I had the dream job without having it? How would it feel if you had your dream job? Open your imaginative senses, because the mind cannot differentiate between imagination or real life experience. You cannot, most people are waiting, let's say not most people, there are few people that are waiting for the external situation to happen and then changing the perception. But that will never happen. Best of luck, because even when it happens, you will sabotage yourself because you are not prepared for it. So you can hear this way often when women are like, or men are like, I'm still yet to meet a man or a woman who is kind and caring, or like not a cheater or a gold digger, a lot of shit like this. So you have an assumption that women and men are in a certain way, and you see them from a certain angle. You are going to experience this gender from that certain angle only. You are never going to come across the other opposite angle, and even if you do, you will sabotage it. So it's important, first you cause the effect in the mind, and the effect comes out into reality. So unless you do that, you are gonna have a really difficult time in life. And so the vibrational state of whatever it is, you can open your imagination, feel it. This is where the reprogramming tools, where the subconscious mind reprogramming tools, rampages, affirmations, meditations, and really being conscious and present about your current state of mind. Whenever the negative thoughts come in, you have to tell yourself, nope, I'm all right, I'm doing good. And when you keep doing this for a long enough period, or you just are convinced that nothing can come in and affect your frequency, this will be your new reality. It's always like this is how it is. It's very normal. So you can enter a vibrational emotional state of whatever it is that you desire. It's not just about having the thoughts, because when you enter an emotional state, automatically the thoughts come, the perspectives come, because as I told you, when you alchemize energy, the old energy with the new energy and all this negative programmings and everything you had, you mix it up, you form a new perspective, a new belief system, and then it just gets projected into 3D reality. Because when the feelings come, when you are now alchemized an energy, it comes in the form of feelings, and these feelings will be your new identity, because now you've let go of all the old identity. There's room for new identity, because as I told you, once you detach from the ego, you're not separate from anything. You just become fluid state, and you just adopt whatever new identity you're programming yourself to be, and then you just experience that in your reality, because now you are the dream job. Once you become the dream job, you receive the dream job. I know it sounds funny, but you have to become in order to receive. I am, I am, I am. This is the most important word in all scriptures and everything. I am. You have to tell it in the present tense. They taught you in schools and everything about past, present, past and future, just so you can get stuck in either anxiety or in regret. And once you start speaking and thinking everything from a present tense, that doesn't mean you have to constantly fight with everyone. Hey, I have the thing, I have it, even though you don't have it. You don't need to be crazy. You just need to be in the state, the emotional state, and you don't need to convince others. They will be convinced regardless, because as your frequency elevates, as you change, you don't need to just go and keep telling everyone, hey, I have it now, I have it now. You just need to program yourself. The emotional state arrives, and then you're good to go. Just, don't share, let's say, everything before it happens, because you're allowing new frequencies to come in and affect the frequency that you're working in. So just allow it to be your own thing you deal with. Once you enter the state, boom, immediately you can, progress and move on with life. And so that's why I say there is no such thing as destiny. The destiny is of infinite possibility. You can have a mansion, you can have a hut, you can have a car, you can have a bicycle, you can have whatever it is that you desire. But if you accept life for this is my fate and this is what I have, then you're screwed, But if you truly desire something and you see it from a perspective of peace and love and care, that you truly desire this, not from a place of ego or that you have an attachment towards it, you will just have it, because it's so easy to enter these states, because you're in alignment, that you know that you're not separate from whatever that you truly desire, because everything is within you and there's no separation. Everything in that space is here. The car, the dream job, everything is here. It's just so close by, like there's no movement. So yeah, don't get caught up on destiny and all of that bullshit. Like that's just, whatever. It's just, there's infinite destinies. You can open any door, enter into that destiny, experience that destiny, step out of that door, go into a new door. Infinite destinies, my friends. Enjoy life, because you are here to enjoy. The soul wants, this is the soul's canvas, man. It just wants to just enjoy and have a lot of fun. And people are worried, if we make a lot of money, some people are gonna come and get us. No one's coming to get you. If you have that fear, just rewire and reprogram your mind and everything will be all right. Everything is solvable when you reprogram your mind, and don't be worried about life, taking a hit on you because this is your destiny. It's not. You are calling this upon yourself. Take it easy, my friends. Everything is happening in your favor. Peace and love. This is it for this episode. I see you in the next one.